Mike's Daily Podcast.
Hey, you don't hear me knocking around my mic stand today.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Isn't that a change? It's Mike Matthews. It's FF episode 2661, 2661. We're going to have some fun, although I'd like to have a pillow and sleep for a while, but you know what? That's not going to happen. There's just things in life that make you go a-laughing because it's
Mike's Daily Podcast.
It's the fun world of, well, if you're listening to this on the 21st, it's National Spumoni Day.
Mike's
That's right.
Daily
Spumoni
Podcast.
Also, National Senior Citizens Day is today. Hello, all you senior citizens. I shall be joining you in, I guess, what is the official cutoff? Is it 65? I don't know. Well, let's see. I will be there soon. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, I guess I learned a lot yesterday. I had a fun time. I went and visited my friend Kevin. You sometimes hear that little thing that goes addendum with Kevin. Well, that's from Kevin. That he used to come in at the end of the podcast and give his 2 cents. And I have not seen him in a long time. It was good to see him. He has a lot on his plate. He is a manager now, too. And you just if you want to meet an interesting person, talk to a manager. Any manager of any kind. My gosh, the stories they can tell you. Dealing with the general public, the general staff in today's world, if you're dealing with a staff of all types of different ages and whatnot, you're going to have someone who has an interesting story to tell. He was telling me about things like being on the phone with a company, a tech company.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Overseas for like an hour. And just like any IT company, any IT phone number you call, it's never their fault. It's always your fault. It's like, take responsibility, IT, and fix the dang thing. No, it's something wrong with you. You gotta reboot it. No, what is wrong? That's right, the late great Basil the Boxer. That's exactly what he would ask the IT guy or lady. What is going on? In fact, the podcast picture is from close to where Kevin works, over there in what's called Seaplane Lagoon. But it actually opens up to the bay. It's over there. You can see USS Hornet in the picture. And one of these unmanned surveyor drones that maps the oceans, the floor of the oceans. That's what was sitting there. It took me a while to find out what it was.
It's pretty interesting.
I had to do some searching online. Apparently it was put in the water in January of 2021.
Mike, it's
according to Alameda Sun.
Mikey Fikey. Great.
It is from Sail Drone, an Alameda-based company. It is a 72-foot unmanned vessel that maps the ocean floor and completes other studies.
News random.
So that's according to that, and there was like a big party for it. Not yesterday. This was 2021, so it's been a while. But that was really neat to see that. I'm like, what is that? That looks... There's so much in that area. Seaplane Lagoon, Alameda Point.
The Newsbleed section.
Everything is just wide open now. You see remnants of what used to be the naval base. Like there are a couple of jets, fighter jets that are up on those big posts. Like real live jets that, they took out everything and they put it on a big post to be kind of like a statuesque statue in honor of flying devices that defend our country. Yeah, and there's still a lot of housing that goes back to where the soldiers were staying and the officers, and a lot of those buildings where people are actually living in, they're pretty old. Some are renovated. There's some buildings that are just abandoned and they look like they're just going to collapse upon themselves at some point. But it is interesting. It's weird to drive around. It's like a ghost town. There's a lot of potential there. A lot of interesting businesses have popped up. They've left a lot of paintings on the side of the buildings, like big hangers. There'll be a thing for Pan Am, and Pan Am's been out of business for years.
Everybody make some noise! Woo! Bringing to you live from Podcaster Valleymont, Mike's Daily Podcast.
Alameda Point, it's nice and cool. You get a beautiful view of San Francisco. You see the Salesforce Tower.
Live and loco.
Salesforce Tower would be the biggest thing. Now you've destroyed the beautiful landscape of San Francisco. But you know what? More and more of us are finally putting up with it and going, yeah, okay, Transamerica Building, now that, Golden Gate Bridge, Coit Tower, etc. So, over there, kind of near the Golden Gate Bridge, is an homage to Walt Disney. I think it was built by his daughter. I have not been there yet. But apparently, Walt Disney's shares have been doing somewhat good after recent earnings. They are expecting a slowdown at its domestic theme parks for the remainder of the year. A slowdown. Does that mean it's a good time to go? Well, that's what they're telling us as the burn-off of pent-up demand persists. Raising the prices for its streaming services was the most attention-grabbing announcement in its earnings call that was done at the beginning of this month. The prices of ad-free versions are going up this October by 27% for Disney Plus, and if you're into Hulu, which I do not see the attraction. Handmaid's Tales, okay, but if you're really into that, that's all they got on Hulu. Maybe a couple other things. I'm seeing ads for shows that I've never heard of before. So I guess if I were more exposed to that, it's mostly Netflix and Amazon Prime for me. And whatever I can find on YouTube. But the prices for Hulu are going to go up 20% in October. 27% for Disney Plus. The lowest tier plans, they're going to stay the same price. So those of you doing that, you're lucky. Nothing's going up. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton.
Ridiculous random host.
CEO Bob Iger talked about spinning off or selling some of its linear TV assets, like getting rid of FX or National Geographic. But that remains overall unclear. Over the past 12 months, shares of Disney have been down 26%.
Mike's scavenger hunt.
And there's one possible plan is an ESPN spinoff. It seems likely they have a pending full direct-to-consumer offering. This all from Rob Black. I produce his podcast, The Rob Black Show. He digs into this interesting world of big corporations and all the crazy stuff they're doing and whatnot. That's amazing to me. So people are really carrying too much credit card debt. My lovely lady friend finally said enough. She doesn't use credit cards anymore. But it can be, if you pay them off at the right time and you get the ones that have cool little rewards, it's an incentive, and it's very easy to get sucked into using credit cards, but you need to pay them off, which apparently American consumers are not doing. Total credit cards hit a record 530.6 million.
Matthews News.
That's how many credit cards there are. The debt has surpassed $1 trillion for the first time ever. Credit card balances are up almost 20% from a year ago. And that's been the big news story so far this year. The average balance per consumer rose and this is the balance that people are carrying month to month, to almost $6,000. That's going to have a whopper of an interest payment behind it, especially with interest rates going up and up and up. That is the highest in 10 years. So credit card companies must be loving this.
The Myclopedia Insanika.
Over half are also carrying debt from month to month for at least a year. It's not just a, oops, I forgot to pay. I guess it's going to go over to the next month and I'll pay interest on that, which I fight like crazy when that happens. I'm like, oh no!
Oh my gosh!
The bottom of the chart.
Pretty good songs that never made it on the radio because people didn't think they were worth it. But you know what? They come back up and people start playing them, and it's like, oh, where'd that come from?
The average credit card rate is now more than 20% on average. It's an all-time high. The personal savings rate is hovering around 4.3% in June, well below a decades-long average. And I guess the decades-long average was roughly 9% for the personal savings rate. While $1 trillion in credit card debt seems alarming, consumer debt is still just 6% of total deposits Americans have in their bank accounts, the lowest in 20 years. If you're in trouble, you should ask your card issuer, if you're having trouble paying the payment and all that, ask them for a lower annual percentage rate, says Rob. In fact, 76% of people who asked for a lower interest rate on their credit card, way over half, 3/4, when they asked for a lower interest rate on the credit card in the past, they got one within the past year. They got one. So, wow. So that's interesting how Americans are acting. Hip-hop turned 50 recently. It changed the music industry. Dr. Dre sold electronics to Apple in 2014 for $3 billion. Dr. Dre, of course, very big in the hip-hop world. Jay-Z's own entertainment agency, Rock Nation, has also... Jay-Z has that. And then Travis Scott and Cardi B are big entrepreneurs. It's a huge, lots of money. Lots of money involved with the hip-hop world. So that $16 billion music industry.
Yo, the mic tip.
And Taco Bell and DoorDash are putting $5 million toward customer orders of tacos to celebrate Taco John's relinquishing of the Taco Tuesday trademark. Oh, Taco Tuesday, that's right. So Taco John owned Taco Tuesday. He owned that trademark, and he has relinquished it. So Taco Bell and DoorDash are putting toward customer orders of tacos $5 million. Now, does that mean people are going to get free tacos on that day? But this is happening September 12th, by the way. And UPS drivers want to wear brown. The union won full-time drivers $170,000 a year.
What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week?
So searches for UPS and United Parcel Service spiked more than 50% on the internet. Years ago, in the early 80s, I was visiting Germany with my mom, and we were on a little hike up to a castle.
What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week? What's the cliche of the week?
With my Oma and Opa, and we're hiking and hiking. It's taking us forever to get to the castle. And once we get to the castle, we see, oh, there's a road that leads to the castle. We could have just driven here. And just as we're saying that, guess what drives into the driveway and pulls up in front of the castle? A UPS truck. And out comes a guy wearing brown, wearing the shorts in Germany. That's about the time my mom should have invested in UPS. That was a big sign. Buy on the rumor and sell on the news story. Because once it becomes the news story, then everybody knows the deal. And yeah, then at that point, everybody's jumping in. And so the price for whatever it is you're going to buy is going to go up, 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 up. Hey, I got a call recently at my phone number, 510-228-4640. That's I'm going to be actually interviewing somebody on that line tomorrow. I want to include an interview. And into an interview, I haven't done one of those in about 6 years. There's a new band called Blueology. Bluetopia. Bluetopia is what I mean. And I'm going to be interviewing them, talking all about their new album. They're a bunch of young people doing some fun, upbeat music. That's really cool. So I will talk to them tomorrow. But I'll be calling them on that number, or they'll call me, 510-228-4640 if you'd like to call that number. I did get a call, and somebody said this. They left this message. They said, Mr. Gardner?
Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Phone for All.
And I don't know if it's real, because whenever you get sent anything, a text, an email, and nobody bothers to capitalize any words, it's all in lowercase, that kind of tells you this is a bot. This is someone who doesn't care. They're just trying to scam you. So I don't know who Mr. Gardner is, but it was a question mark, and that was interesting. So outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, look who is here right now. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega, and you've had a lot of interesting times because you are an interesting person because you're a manager. Woo! Yes, I'm a manager. Have you been a manager? Yes. Did you enjoy being a manager? Yes. Would you want to do it again? No. Yeah. It takes a lot out of you. It's maybe why I'm so tired these days. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino the Burger Kid.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, we've been hanging out today, trying to stay cool in the air conditioning day in the parking lot booth day.
Yeah, parking lot boot. Do you know that? Parking lot boot?
Booth day.
Yeah, booth. Do you know that? I don't know about a Bootha, but I know about Luther. I watched the Luther.
Mike's absolutely useless review.
That's on Netflix. That's just weird, and it makes no sense. It defies all logic. It's very annoying. I was very disappointed. Idris, because there are times when the show is really good, but this is just Idris. No, bad. This was bad. But, oh well, that's not his fault. It was the writers of the show. Yeah, I've been into, well, after we discussed on the last podcast about Jeffrey Osborne, I went back and watched the video to the she's on the left, she's on the right, she's in the middle of my mind. And it's funny. It's so late 80s goofy, but gosh, I love that song. The drum machine on that. And then my lovely lady friend and I, we were listening to some of his stuff, and we went on YouTube and watched some of Luther Vandross's stuff and just got into all that late 80s, early 90s crooning going on. Some big famous black artists that are still, well, we lost Luther, as you know. I guess about a decade ago, maybe more. That was sad. No, 2 decades ago. Yeah.
Wow, Shuts, wow.
I think it was about that. But dang, he was such a great singer. He put out some great music. And then we've been watching the show called Lewis that's somewhat related to the show Inspector Morse. And if you've caught that show Endeavor, all those shows are linked together. And Lewis is pretty good. Endeavor was great. Bordering on great. Lewis is good. I don't know if it got better. It was on for like 10 seasons. So I don't know if it got better later on. We're going to try and check that out. Epic Universal. Have you heard about this? Universal Studios. They've got this big amusement park they're building in Orlando. Yeah, they've already got 2 big amusement parks there. Now they're building a bigger one. Everything is huge. It's epic. Thus the name, Epic Universal. I watched a video on that. There's a Harry Potter land. Don't they already have a Harry Potter land? Well, this is some other one. I don't know why they're spending so much money on this stuff, but apparently most of it is built. They got a Nintendo land. How to Train Your Dragon land. Didn't know that was that big of a movie franchise. And then Universal owns the rights to Dracula, Frankenstein, and Wolfman. So they've got a land involving that. And it looks like a lot of roller coasters. I think I'm missing one under... there's some other land with Vikings. Was that it? Anyway, Cafe Anyway, it's amazing. They're building it here in the heat of the summer in Florida with the rains and the heat and the humidity. And we're getting, speaking of hurricanes, I don't think Florida's getting any, but yes, California is. Southern California, Hillary, because somebody at the weather department thought that would be funny. We'll just name it Hillary. That's a really topical reference, isn't it? Lock her up, lock her up. Boy, that must seem ironic to hear that now. Are we hearing that at Democrat rallies? No, that's something that Trump instigated, whether he admits to or not.
Which is a very good thing. Which is a very, very good thing.
But look at him. Oh, but it is all just a witch hunt. So, speaking of
Mike's Daily Podcast Master Pod Theater.
Perhaps by the time you've heard this or are listening to this, the rain has fallen. I'm in the Bay Area, and yes, it is very cloudy at the moment and hot and humid. It does kind of feel like Florida at the moment. So I don't know if we're getting little bits of Hillary now up here, but oh boy. So California, we get tons of rain at the beginning of the year. Then in the summer, we're getting rain. We haven't gotten the colossal, horrible heat that Arizona got, that a lot of the other parts of the nation got. So we may be lucky there, but... And finally, I did my yoga thing. My lovely lady friend held a class, and it was volunteer because she's working towards finishing up her degree in being a yoga teacher. And she did it more for helping, because she's a therapist, helping her patients, stretch and relax and calm down. And there's all kinds of movement in yoga that really alleviates the tension that you're trying to lengthen the spine is what I hear a lot of. Trying to stand straight so you're not slouching. We are big slouchers in this culture because we're all looking down at our phones. Oh, what did I text? Oh, what did I just win on this video game I'm playing on my phone? Oh, look at this story. So we need to try and stand straight and stretch and I don't know. I'm not going to ever be really into yoga, but it's fun to do a class once in a great while. And especially when my lovely lady friend's teaching it, I got to be there. And she did a great job. So I feel a little bit better today. I felt a little sore. I do feel extremely tired today.
It's a nightmare of a show.
Because of the big day yesterday with her class, and then we went and saw my friend Kevin and went to the cool seaplane lagoon. And then here's the thing. When I leave work on Friday. I like it when I don't have to deal with my job at all for the whole weekend. As a manager, I know that might be unrealistic, but for my employees, I make it so like they don't even have to think about the weekends, on the weekends about work at all. None of it ever touches them during the weekend. But oh my gosh, everybody was contacting me, and in the end, I love the people I work with. Everything got worked out, but can you just leave me alone on the weekend, please? All of it was over pretty ridiculous stuff. In the end, I think we'll all agree, ridiculous stuff. Like this one guy right now is bugging me about his time card. His time card for something that happened on Friday.
Mike ripped someone a new one.
He's bugging me on a Sunday during my weekend. It's very annoying, and yes, shame on me for even looking at my emails and at my phone. I just need to block everybody. You know what? I don't care that you're lonely and you're like, hey, I'm just going to bug. Look, I'm a manager. You already got to just try and leave me alone as much as possible, or I'm going to snap. And on this one guy, I did have to snap a little bit today because he was calling me for some ridiculous reasons. Stuff that he should have known. And no amount of yoga was going to help me there. Hey, you know what it is time for? It is time for, yes, the wonderful segment called Let's Go Back with Matthews.
Let's go back with Matthews.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to go back in time to when I was much more calm because I was not a manager. I was like, hey, someday I'm going to be a manager. So I was looking forward to the day. But, you know, like any dog that catches a car, it can be a bit overwhelming. But back in the day, this is 20 years ago, I had the opportunity. My boss was very cool, and he said, hey, you know, you do this night shift, this 7 to midnight shift on the country station, and you get pretty good ratings. We're going to let you do whatever you want. We want you to interview people, have guests on, and do some fun stuff. How about on Friday nights, you do some crazy thing like whatever you want to do. Do you want to have comedians on? I think we had like a cook come in on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we talked about the internet. I had an internet expert, somebody who had started her own internet, webmaster type company. So she knew all kinds of stuff about what was going on. And this was early days of the internet 20 years ago. We called it World Wide Web's Day. But then there was something called Freaky Friday. And this got really weird.
John. No, there's tons of talent.
There's tons of talent.
In every
expression. All right, and this involved two guys that I knew. One of them I knew through my ex-wife's dad's, I guess his one of his good friends from the Bay Area who was living in Ventura. I told a story about him actually in a podcast. I think this was a few months ago, where I told the story about how my then wife and I were trying to have lunch with my financial advisor, and all of a sudden this guy shows up. This friend of my ex-wife's dad showed up, basically said, hey, how's it going? And invited himself to the lunch that the financial planner was having. And of course, the financial planner ended up paying for his lunch too. And we hardly got any time to speak to the financial planner, which was the whole point of the lunch, because this guy monopolized the whole conversation and we should have kicked him out. But we hadn't seen him in a long time. And I don't know if you could tell overall, I'm kind of a nice guy and I try and be nice to people overall. It's a good idea in this world to be nice. But then, of course, there are people that take advantage of the nice people, as you know. So here's a little bit of that guy in this Freaky Friday show.
The KA Santa Fe Cafe.
That's correct. That is Alan Jackson. Linda, you were just in Tennessee. Is this true?
Northern Georgia.
Oh, Northern Georgia, rather.
Northern Georgia. Beautiful Rome, Georgia.
Hey, we're on the radio. Get on the mic or
Get off the mic.
flush. I don't know what that term is. Expression? Okay, 11 o'clock tonight, the Lone Star tickets at the Ventura Theater. Daryl and Dana with us, Lynn and Linda. Thank you very much for all being here on Fun and Freaky Friday. Having a fun, freaky time.
No, there's tons of talent.
There's tons of talent
in every nook and cranny in this.
You're the only ones I could fit in here, though.
This is County Talent Night. Come on, County. Call in.
Oh, look who else is here.
It's a lot of...
Ozzy's in the house.
Darren Dano, it's so good to see you. I was talking to Ozzy earlier today about how he doesn't sing enough bluegrass music.
Ozzy sings bluegrass?
Can you play something bluegrassy for him?
I've been singing it for years, you know. It's not unlikely for Ozzy to just break out in his boots and do like a shindig. Listen.
I like that.
All right.
Yeah.
So then they did have musical instruments with them. And I think, what were they called? Oh, the two ladies that were there, they were from a band. And I think they'll mention the band's name in a moment. But yeah, so they just started playing this impromptu on this Freaky Friday show on the radio station K-Hate.
I've been running down the mountain and I got my bat wings on. All my kids are yelling, Dad, you look like a freak. I don't care because I'm Halsey.
I'm the Prince of Darkness and Bluegrass.
Sharon.
Right.
Excuse me, Sharon. Can you hand me a rope? I'm stuck.
What are you stuck on?
Thank you guys very much. That was wonderful. More Fun and Freaky Friday on the way. 9:42 right now. I just thought I'd mention the time for no apparent reason whatsoever. And Holly Dunn's going to sing for you. It's KHAY.
Oh, the late Holly Dunn. That band was called Lily Water. That's right. Okay, let's go back in time even further to the 80s. I was not playing bluegrass back then, but here we go with me in the 1989. There was
great service,
but what with Grand's prices?
Oh,
what?
KHTY 197, Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, What I Am. At 11:53, in the public interest, a celebrity basketball game to benefit the Carpinteria High School cheerleaders will be played this Sunday at 2 at the Carpinteria High School gym. The cheerleading team is the first South Coast team to be invited to the National Cheerleading Finals in Florida. So that's pretty great. All proceeds will go toward funding their trip, and a celebrity barbecue will follow the game. For ticket information, call 968-8080. That number again, 968-8080. Fraser Smith is on his way at 12 o'clock, and
wow, that's all I had of that. I was in my 20s back then. I hope that cheerleader team went really far. That's great. From Carpinteria, the fine town of Carpinteria that has an avocado festival every year.
It's 11:55. I'm Mike Matthews, sitting in for Scotty Johnson. And we've got lots of great stuff coming up. As I said before, on KHDY Santa Barbara, here's Vanessa Williams.
On FM 197. I'm living in the middle of a dream with a little bit of fantasy.
Aw, dreamin'.
KHDY Santa Barbara 197. It's 12 noon, time for Phrase at the Flicks on 197. Hello, Phrase.
Hey, Fraser Smith here. Welcome to Phrase at the Flicks.
Fraser Smith. Whatever happened to him? All right, and one more thing. So that guy, Scotty Johnson, that got mentioned there, years later, I ran into him in Ventura, and he was running a radio station there called The Bus. And I asked him for a job, and I worked there for about 3 years, I think. Here's a little bit of that.
Places where you can pick one up on The Bus 96. Paula Ventura, The Bus 96.7. More than oldies, The Bus 96.7. Mike Matthews. On a Saturday afternoon, we got chances for you to win with the Bus 96.7 bumper sticker. Keep it here for details and places where you can pick one up on The Bus 96.7.
Back when we put bumper stickers on our car. Yeah, that was 30 years ago in 1992. Wow.
Yeah, we might need that umbrella, as a matter of fact. It's more than oldies, The Bus 96.7. Monday through Friday at noon, we take you back in time with the Warehouse Top 10 Countdown. Stephanie Rose will be here playing back all those songs made popular on that date. Listen for the Warehouse Top 10 Countdown, only here on The Bus 96.7.
So we were calling that music oldies in the early 90s, even though that music was all basically 60s and 70s. So within 20 years, right? Let's see, wait, no. Well, almost 20 years, 20 to 30 years. So what happens to you, dear listener, if you are in your 30s, or maybe you're in your 20s, at some point you are going to, in your 50s, the music you listen to is going to be called oldies. It stinks. Actually, we go back, 30 years from today, it's the 90s. That's now considered oldies music. The 90s is oldies music. Wow. Yeah, Britney Spears did oldies music. So it's a weird thing that happens in radio, and it's true. What do you think about it? This true fact that Mike told you, this fact that may or may not impress you or motivate you to call me. 510-228-4640. And with more ways to reach me,
Mike's
it's
Daily
A-Frame.
Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.